You're listening to the Breakthrough Investor in Commercial Real Estate Podcast. Brought to you by MVP Equity Group, where we learn from private equity experts, their mindset, and ways to achieve financial independence. Here to challenge you to think outside the box, here's your host, Ernest Peralta.
All right, welcome back to another episode. I'm Ernest Peralta, and with us today, our guest is Tony Sablan. Welcome to the show, Tony.
Hi, Ernest. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. Glad that you're here. And I know that we've got some exciting topics to share as a lot of investors and also W-2 employees, including, myself and some other individuals that are listening to the show would love to hear some of the things that are happening right now, especially from long-term care. So a little bit about Tony. He's a wealth advisor from New York Life. He helps clients with custom tailored solutions to life insurance, estate planning, retirement planning, college funds, 401k plan, as well as employee benefits. He's an entrepreneur at heart, and he's also an avid MMA, mixed martial arts coach, and a Muay Thai instructor. He trains with some of the top champions in the UFC and won championship. He travels frequently between Singapore, Hawaii, and throughout the United States. And Tony currently resides in Seattle, Washington. Again, Tony, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, Tony, you have a really unique background with a lot of experiences. And so with that said, do you mind just kind of briefly stepping us through your backstory and a little bit about your childhood and how did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, so the reason I'm in my business is because I've at a young age, my father passed away, left my mom with nothing. And, it was tough to raise 5 boys on a modest income. And so I saw that and then, graduated college at 18, applied to all the big financial firms, didn't get the job at the time. But then several years later, after I got my MBA, I met a friend at a networking event and, it got me in the business and never looked back since. So what motivates me is that, there's a lot of families that don't have a comprehensive plan for their money. And I experienced that for myself shortly after I graduated college. Got a good consulting job, started making money, but didn't really have the mindset around planning because I didn't have that guidance, right? And the knowledge of money wasn't passed down from my grandma's generation to my mom's generation to my generation. So they did the best with what they had. So I don't want families to go through that. It's unnecessary because the education is out there, but it's how you put it together that makes the difference. And right now, people have access to so much information, and yet till this day, studies from Vanguard and all the big firms have supporting data that shows that people still need to talk to advisors like myself, because we provide an outside perspective looking in, and we help you uncover questions that you may not have asked yourself in your search for information.
So it looks like you've already had a strong interest or desire at a young age. It seems like that was that event that you mentioned when your father passed away was sort of the instigator to have you look into more making sure that your financial independence as well as your family's independence was taken care of.
Yeah.
Very good.
Then I found mixed martial arts and somehow I became a big part of that and that's by design. Because, when I first signed up, I told myself I wanted to be a big part of this growing industry, and also become a martial artist and learn as much as I can and hone my skills in order to just be the best that I can. And
right.
It's paid off. So.
And I've noticed that you intertwine kind of the methodologies and the process and the training behind your training in MMA into finance. And I think that's a very unique thing to kind of bridge, because I'm sure you use a lot of analogies between the two. Yeah,
certainly. Martial arts is life, and mixed martial arts is life as well. If you think about it, you're a business owner, Ernest, and you've seen the ups and downs of what the market can give you. So in a mixed martial arts fight, You could be fighting a boxer, you could be fighting a wrestler. You need to have the tools in your repertoire to be able to mitigate those risks, right? And same in business. You either focus too much on offense and you forget the risk management. All that scoring is going to come undone real fast without a proper mitigation plan. I feel like with people's money, it's the same thing. Some unforeseen event happens and you're unprepared because all you were focusing on was just growing, 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 but you forgot to protect the very thing that was helping you grow.
Yeah. Yeah, which brings up a nice caveat, by the way, Tony, because that brings us into kind of the planning for what's happening right now in Washington State. There's this long-term tax care act that's come into effect the last couple of months. First and foremost, I just want to caveat for our listeners that I know this is a commercial real estate focused podcast, but I do believe in diversifying your portfolio and looking at other things to invest in to make sure that you're taken care of, right? Not only from a real estate perspective, but also looking at life insurance, looking at long-term care, and looking at how you can actually set up not only generational wealth from real estate, but generational wealth, in other aspects of your life as well. So with that, Tony, I would love to maybe start off with understanding, for those that haven't actually started yet in opting out into this Washington Long-Term Care Act. I was wondering if you can talk a little bit about that, because I know that some people haven't started it yet. We have a limited time frame here, I think October, November of this year, correct? And so do you mind just stepping us through kind of what is it? What do we need to be concerned about? And how can folks, especially employees that have a W-2 job right now, need to look at to opt out for this?
Yeah. So it right now, as the bill stands, it affects W-2 employees. And what that means is you're paying 0.58% of wages. There's no cap on your wages. So if you're a high income earning commercial real estate broker that's being paid W-2 wages, or you're a business owner that pays yourself W-2 wages, those wages are going to get taxed. And so you got to consider the fact that this long-term care plan, your maximum benefit is $36,500 as it stands. You have to pay into it for 10 years to access those monies. And there's talk of, well, I don't want to say there's talk, but if you think that this is going to be an underfunded plan, it may come to the point where the business owner themselves will have this tax in the future. Possible? It's possible if the state needs money for this plan. It's not a portable plan. So let's say you decide as a W-2 employee, you decide to move to another state, all those dollars you've paid into it are gone. So it would make sense for someone to look at, talk to a person like myself to understand the options available to buy your own plan, or you go take the government plan.
Okay. Tony, can I ask you a quick question? So does the individual, if say they have another residence somewhere else, or they leave Washington for, I don't know, 2 to 3 years, is there a time limit, or as soon as you leave Washington, it's no longer your primary residence? Does this no longer apply, or is there a time frame where it still applies if you come back?
I believe there's some time limitations. I'd have to get back to you on that.
Okay.
But what happened? The other thing that I was going to mention is that to access this the 36,500, you would have to not be able to do 3 out of the 6 daily activities of living. And examples are eating, bathing, transferring, continence, toileting, dressing, right? Whereas your own private plan, you only need to fulfill 2 of those. So if you can't eat or bathe, or you can't dress yourself and eat, or you need help eating, then you can have access to your plan. And then also the private plans available, there's your traditional health insurance types where you're paying a monthly premium, and then when you need the benefit, you access it, right? And then there's also the hybrid asset-based plan where you you have some lazy money sitting on the sidelines, or you pay an annual premium and you have access to a pool of money for either while you're living, well, for your family while you're dead, or for long-term care. So there's a lot of options that, for what I believe, if you're a high income earner, it makes sense to really spend the 1 hour of your time to just get this done, because before you know it, November will come and you'll get taxed. And this is a one-time opportunity to opt out.
Okay. So one time only, there's no exceptions. Is that correct?
That's
from
correct.
What you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Based on what we've done from the state.
Okay. So there are two ways. What are the different ways for an individual to go and seek to try to opt out? Do they talk to a wealth advisor such as yourself that deals with insurance and long-term care, or do they go to the state? What's the best route or alternative?
As far as, talk to your advisor, talk to a guy like myself, or talk to me. I can help you save you a lot of time on Google to get down to what's important to you and your family, and the assets you want to protect with regards to long-term care. And the beauty about the long-term care premiums for a business owner that's been paying himself W-2 wages, that they're tax deductible.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. And I'm sure you're getting a lot of requests right now as we speak. Okay. So do you think it's advisable for folks that if they're listening to this right now to maybe reach out to somebody like yourself?
Yeah.
To do, okay.
Yeah. Reach out to me, reach out to their advisor.
Mm-hmm.
Happy to help.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for clarifying that. You talked about the benefits, how an individual can go about trying to opt out and look at alternatives in order to provide the best care for themselves and their families. The next question I wanted to ask you is what's going on right now in your neck of the woods and what you see in terms of investors that may be looking to invest. Say they've got some equity right now that they've built up in a property, and they want to sell it and liquidate it. What are other options? Most everybody's going to think, oh, well, I'll just take that money and invest it into another asset. But what about those that want to maybe diversify? What's another alternative, do you think?
Yeah, so alternatives, especially with regards to real estate professionals, they're very big on real estate, and rightfully so. They've made a good fortune with their real estate business. But just like mixed martial arts, at some point you got to diversify, because you can continue to kick the bucket and pass, do 1031 exchanges all day long, but at some point your family, who may not be versed in real estate, is going to have that wealth transfer. So what we're seeing in the market is premium financing, where you have a property, or you take out a loan from from the bank that pays the premiums on a permanent policy to offset any future capital gains taxes or any estate taxes, right? So that's one option. And then the other option is just putting in a tax efficient portfolio to buy you time to go find the next property. So when I work with my real estate professional clients, we don't look at the diversification as competing for your dollars. We look at how can we create a circular flow that helps each other, right? Because the IRS will get their money either upfront or at the end. And there's only so long that you can kick the bucket of 1031 exchanges. So, and then also if you want quick liquidity, some people, even with the amount of real estate that you've accumulated, the banks have a limit on what they will lend you. And then also the risk is that your credit line can get cut in half, which I've seen with some of my business owner folks. And it's a unilateral, just the bank saying we're cutting your credit line for no good reason.
Yeah.
Right. You have the assets, you have the income, but the bank is mitigating their risk. So what I tell my clients is create your own bank. You might not trust the market, but guess what? Your real estate is in the market. It's an asset class in the market, so it's susceptible to similar risks.
Yeah.
Policy risk, tax risk, and with regards to policy risk, a lot of business owners are aware of the upcoming proposals on capital gains taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also talk of, the step up in basis being removed because America is at its lowest tax brackets in history, tax rates in history. If you look back to early 1900s, the highest income tax bracket was 90%. So you're getting a deal at 40%.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like that.
Right. Not the least. I'm just thinking here real quick. I've got two scenarios. I was wondering if you can give a quick example for those that maybe that are just starting out in real estate. Maybe they've got a duplex or something like that, or starting to get into multifamily. What's a strategy that you've seen that you've done with maybe some of your real estate clients that would be something ideal for them to start taking a look at if they wanted to diversify? And then retrospect to that, what about those other ones that are more experienced that have invested their dollars into something else?
So for the person starting out, it's really just setting the foundation. And that's making sure that you have the proper risk management in place with regards to if you buy a duplex and you're not around to service that duplex, will your wife or your kids be able to service that duplex? Mm-hmm. And then remember, when you leave, you're leaving a family with a mortgage. So it would make sense to have some form of insurance, whether it's temporary or permanent, but something to offset to either pay for that mortgage so that your wife doesn't have to, your wife or the spouse, I don't want to just say wife, because that implies that the man's always dying first.
Which the statistics kind of fall in our favor, I think.
Yeah. So some sort of mitigation plan, maybe set up an LLC to put the duplex in an LLC to separate the assets. Mm-hmm. And then also create some sort of retirement account and also non-retirement investment account, such that the duplex or the properties that you begin to fund those accounts for you. Because like I said, at some point you're going to become tired and not have the energy to become a landlord. Even if you have a higher property management firm, then now that's a different set of challenges. Mm-hmm. For the person that is more experienced and didn't have the chance to set up their foundation, it'd be the same recommendation, but it'd be a somewhat different strategy. So now we're looking at more tax mitigation, more planning around, okay, let's overfund, potentially a policy for the tax benefits that it has, and then also overfund your retirement such that you give yourself the flexibility to, look for the deals that you want and weather any storms. Because when the real estate market goes down or liquidity dries up, you need to be the real estate professional that has your own bank. Mm-hmm. So create your own bank from the outside and not have to rely on the banks. Because the banks will tell you whether you qualify or not, even though you have $10 million of $10 million real estate portfolio. Instead of, if you just set up right from the get-go, a little slush fund, whatever that may be, and we can help you with that. But it's making sure that you create your own bank early. And as an experienced person, you have the cash to, in a very short amount of time, I can help you create your own bank. And it really takes, if you're making 1.5 a year, let's take 150,000 a year and start building your bank. So it's not much, right? But yeah. I think a lot of in my past conversations with some real estate professionals is they feel like they need all the cash to buy real estate, even though they don't, because they're just leveraging property to property. Well, it's the same thing with just setting aside a slush fund.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of real estate professionals don't have a slush fund.
Yeah, very good point and good example, to say that. So I know that, well, that's why we're doing this today. So it opens other people's, eyes to see that this can happen and that they should, look at other things to invest in as well. Tony, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you think would be pertinent to bring up?
Yeah, I think, we're all on the roller coaster of life. We're all busy. And I know that a lot of folks work with professionals. Just take a step back. Take an hour of your day to step back and take a look at what you're building and be intentional with where that money is going and ask yourself, is my portfolio tax efficient? Because what's coming down the pipeline is that there's going to be a lot of taxes that need to be mitigated.
Yeah.
And we can help you with that.
Very good. And Tony, appreciate your time being on the show. I know that you're very busy. So again, I appreciate you even carving out 30 minutes to spend with us today.
Honored to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, Tony.
Yeah.
And would love to have you as a guest again, maybe talk about some other stuff or some things to look forward to in the horizon for investors. Yeah. So again, you share such a wealth of experience as an advisor, as well as, your background as you combine your passion to your business, which is great to see. And so, that's why you're successful the way you are, is because you're able to really thoughtfully put things together and strategize and to put a plan. So again, thank you for that. And thanks for being on the show, everybody. Until the next time, take care.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Breakthrough Investor in Commercial Real Estate podcast. If you like what you heard and you found value in this episode, we would really appreciate if you would give us a rating and a review. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. For those of you that are interested in investing passively in these types of deals in solid cash flowing commercial real estate throughout Arizona and Texas, as well as Idaho and Colorado, then visit us at mvpequitygroup.com. Fill out the investor interest form. That's mvpequitygroup.com. If you close on a multifamily deal or any other type of commercial property in the past 12 months and you want to be on this podcast, then send us an email on our Contact Us page for details. Thanks.